Billionaire didn't know he was a father until he saw his ex-wife with 3 children identical to him. Before we jump in, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Get ready for something special. Nathan Blackwood's Italian leather shoes clicked against the polished marble of Apex Technologies' headquarters. At 54, he'd built an empire that controlled nearly 40% of the global data security market. Today's board meeting had gone exceptionally well. Their stocks hit another record high. Yet as Nathan stood at the window of his penthouse office overlooking the Chicago skyline, he felt strangely empty. The rush of securing that Chinese contract had already faded. Awards lined his walls, financial magazines featured his stern face on their covers, and his net worth had 8 zeros. But something was missing. His assistant knocked softly. "Your driver is waiting, Mr. Blackwood. The mayor's charity gala starts in an hour." Nathan nodded, grabbing his cashmere coat. Another night of small talk with politicians and celebrities who wanted his money or influence. His second ex-wife, Caroline, would probably be there, awkward but unavoidable in their circles. As the Bentley glided through downtown Chicago, Nathan checked his emails on his tablet. The traffic slowed as they entered a decidedly less pristine neighborhood, a shortcut his driver Morris sometimes took when Lakeshore Drive was congested. "Sorry about the detour, sir," Morris said, stopping at a red light. Nathan glanced up disinterestedly and froze. There, on the crumbling sidewalk outside a rundown convenience store, stood a woman with 3 young boys. Something about her profile caught his attention, the way she tilted her head, her shoulders set with stubborn dignity despite her obviously worn clothes. Most striking was the empty sleeve where her left arm should have been. "Eliza," he whispered, his tablet sliding forgotten to the floor. As if hearing her name, the woman turned. Beneath a knit cap, a painfully familiar face stared directly at his window, her eyes widening in recognition. Nathan's world tilted on its axis. Eliza Thompson, his first wife from a lifetime ago. And those boys, identical triplets with his, gray eyes and square jaw, looked about 11 years old. "Stop the car," he commanded, already opening the door before Morris could fully brake. The Bentley hadn't fully stopped when Nathan threw open the door. Chicago's bitter December wind bit through his expensive suit as he rushed across the slushy street. "Eliza," he called. "Eliza Thompson?" The woman instinctively pulled the boys closer, her one arm stretching protectively across all 3. Recognition and something like terror flashed in her eyes. "Nathan." Her voice was raspier than he remembered. Weathered by years, he knew nothing about the boys. Carbon copies of each other with tousled dark hair and striking gray eyes stared curiously. One whispered to another, and all 3 scrutinized Nathan's face with unsettling intensity. "Are these?" Nathan couldn't finish the question. Eliza's jaw tightened. "Yes. Jackson, William, and Thomas. Your sons." The world seemed to spin. Nathan steadied himself against a lamppost. "How? When?" He struggled to form coherent thoughts. "I found out I was pregnant a week after you left," Eliza said flatly. "Surprise?" "Triplets." Nathan stared at the boys, his boys, who had his height, his jawline, his eyes. 11 years, he'd missed 11 years. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice cracked. "Tell you?" Bitterness crept into her tone. "You made it perfectly clear our marriage was a mistake when you traded up for Carolyn Bennett and her daddy's investment money. The divorce papers were still warm when you got remarried." One of the boys, William, Nathan would later learn, stepped forward protectively. "Mom, who is this man?" Eliza hesitated. "This is your father." 3 identical pairs of eyes widened simultaneously. "I thought he was dead," Thomas blurted. Nathan felt the words like a physical blow. "Dead?" Eliza at least had the grace to look embarrassed. It was easier than explaining abandonment to toddlers. A homeless man shuffled past, eyeing the incongruous scene. A billionaire in bespoke clothing facing a one-armed woman and 3 boys in threadbare coats. "What happened to your arm?" Nathan asked quietly. "Industrial accident. 4 years ago." Eliza's gaze hardened. The company went bankrupt before paying full compensation, with 3 growing boys and medical bills. She shrugged her one shoulder. We manage. You're homeless, Nathan stated, noticing the overstuffed backpacks at their feet. We're between places, she corrected proudly. Our landlord sold the building. We're staying at a shelter until… No. The word came out more forcefully than he intended. No shelter, come with me. Jackson, the natural protector, stepped forward. Mom doesn't need your charity. Nathan looked at his son, and saw his own stubborn pride reflected back at him. It's not charity, he said softly. It's 12 years of missed responsibility. Tension crackled in the Bentley's luxurious interior. Morris kept glancing, in the rearview mirror, clearly confused by the sudden addition of 4 passengers. The triplets huddled together on one side, whispering and occasionally stealing glances at Nathan. Eliza sat rigidly, her one hand gripping her worn backpack. Where exactly are we going? She finally asked. The Peninsula Hotel, Nathan replied. I keep a permanent suite there. She stiffened. We're not charity cases, Nathan. It's just for tonight, he assured her, until we figure something out. William, the analytical one, spoke up. You live in a hotel? No, Nathan explained. I have a house in Lake Forest, but it's 45 minutes away, Eliza finished. Nathan looked surprised. I still read the business pages, she added quietly. Q. Car pulled under the hotel's elegant portico. The doorman's eyes widened slightly at the sight of Nathan Blackwood with a one-armed woman and 3 identical boys in worn clothes. Mr. Blackwood, welcome back, he managed professionally. In the grand lobby, more stairs followed them to the elevator. Nathan noticed Thomas clutching his mother's sleeve, overwhelmed by the opulence. The suite was larger than Eliza's last apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased Chicago's glittering skyline. The boys gravitated toward the massive television while Eliza stood uncomfortably in the center of the living room. Are you hungry? Nathan asked. Jackson answered immediately. Starving. Jackson, Eliza scolded. It's fine. Nathan grabbed the room service menu. Order whatever you want. While the boys debated between burgers and pizza, Nathan gestured Eliza to the balcony. Outside in the biting cold, privacy finally allowed the questions burning inside him. Triplets, he breathed. How did you manage alone? One day at a time, she replied. My sister helped until she moved to Oregon. Why didn't you tell me, Eliza? They're my sons. Her eyes flashed. You made your choice very clear, Nathan. You wanted your freedom and Caroline's connections. The divorce papers specifically waived all claims between us. For God's sake, I didn't know about the pregnancy? Would it have mattered? Her question hung between them. Nathan couldn't answer. The ambitious 32-year-old he'd been might have seen children as obstacles to his meteoric rise. Inside, the boys had ordered half the menu. William approached the balcony door, studying Nathan with unnerving intensity. Do we call you Dad? He asked bluntly. Nathan's heart lurched. If you want to. William considered this. I'll think about it. When the food arrived, they fell upon it ravenously. Nathan watched, noticing how Eliza struggled to cut her steak one-handed. Without comment, he moved beside her and quietly assisted. When did it happen? He whispered. Your arm? Manufacturing plant. 4 years ago. She replied softly. I was lucky. The man next to me died. Nathan felt sick imagining it. Eliza trapped, bleeding, terrified, with 3 young boys waiting at home. That night, as his newfound family slept in the suite's bedrooms, Nathan sat alone by the window. 12 years ago, he'd traded his marriage for ambition, convinced real success required sacrifices. Now he faced the true cost of that choice. 3 boys who'd grown up fatherless and a woman who'd faced unimaginable hardship alone. Tomorrow would bring impossible complications. Explaining to his board the inevitable media circus, the sheer logistics of suddenly being father to 3 preteens. But for tonight, One thought repeated in his mind. How do you make up for 11 lost years? Nathan woke to unfamiliar sounds. Young voices bickering, water running, a television playing cartoons. For a moment he was disoriented in his own hotel suite. Then yesterday's memories flooded back. Eliza, one-armed and struggling. His sons, triplets, encountering their father for the first time. The magnitude of what lay ahead hit him with crushing force. In the suite's kitchen he found Thomas making cereal, spilling milk across the counter. Morning, Nathan said awkwardly. Thomas froze. Hi, sir? Nathan is fine. Or, he hesitated. Whatever makes you comfortable. William emerged from the bathroom, hair dripping. His analytical gaze took in Nathan's rumpled suit from yesterday. Do you really own Apex Technologies? He asked without preamble. I founded it, yes. William nodded, thoughtfully. Our school computer lab uses your security software. Your school? Nathan seized the opening. Which one is that? We don't go there anymore, William replied. We moved too far away after the eviction. Nathan's stomach tightened. Another consequence of his absence. Jackson appeared, protectively checking on his brothers before acknowledging Nathan with a curt nod. Where's your mother? Nathan asked. Bathroom, Thomas answered. It takes her longer, you know. He gestured vaguely toward his own left arm. Shame washed over Nathan. Eliza emerged, damp hair pulled back, wearing yesterday's clothes. We should get going, she said, avoiding Nathan's eyes. The shelter serves breakfast until 8. You're not going back there, Nathan stated firmly. Eliza's expression hardened. We've managed for 11 years, Nathan. We'll manage now. Please, he softened his tone. Let me help. Not charity, responsibility. A silent battle waged in her eyes. Finally, practicality won. What do you propose? Within hours, Nathan's assistant Julia had arranged an extended stay apartment in a secure building. By afternoon, they were touring the 3-bedroom unit with its fully equipped kitchen and actual beds for each boy. This is temporary, Eliza emphasized to the awestruck triplets, just until we find our own place. How temporary? Jackson challenged, looking at Nathan. As long as you need, Nathan answered carefully. But I'm not disappearing again. Well, the boys explored. Nathan and Eliza stood awkwardly in the living room. I need to understand everything, he said. How you've lived, what you've endured. Pain flashed across her face. Why? To ease your conscience? Because they're my sons, he replied simply. And because I failed you both as a husband and as their father. Her defenses cracked slightly. I worked office jobs until they were 4. Then the factory offered better pay, overnight shifts while my neighbor watched them. She glanced at her missing arm. After the accident, it was disability checks, food stamps, whatever work I could find one-handed. The company that caused this, bankrupt. My settlement barely covered medical bills. Nathan's jaw tightened. I want to make this right, Eliza. She laughed hollowly. You can't buy back 11 years, Nathan. No, he agreed. But I can be here for the next 11, and the 11 after that. From the hallway, William observed them silently, calculating something behind those unnervingly familiar gray eyes. The first week in the new apartment was a delicate dance of boundaries and adjustments. Nathan had movers deliver essentials, beds, dressers, kitchen supplies, while Eliza watched with guarded eyes, repeatedly telling the boys not to get too comfortable. They need clothes, Nathan observed on his 3rd visit, noticing the boys still rotating through the same worn outfits. I'll take them shopping when my disability check comes, Eliza replied stiffly. I'd like to take them now, Nathan countered. School starts Monday. That had been another negotiation. Nathan had arranged enrollment at Westfield Academy, a private school with an exceptional support program for students needing to catch up. Eliza had initially refused, but relented when the principal confirmed they could provide the boys the remedial help they needed. Fine, She conceded about the shopping, but nothing extravagant. At the department store, Nathan watched his son's reactions. Jackson, suspicious but practical, selected sturdy basics. William immediately gravitated toward the science-themed shirts. Thomas, the most outgoing, chose bright colors and patterns. That made Nathan smile. While the boys tried on clothes, Nathan approached Eliza hesitantly. They mentioned you lost your job at the diner last month. Her face tightened. I couldn't carry trays fast enough. The manager was patient, but business was slow. What did you study in college? Nathan asked. Before we met? Business administration, she replied. Not that it matters now. It could, he suggested carefully. My foundation needs administrative help. Eliza's eyes flashed. I don't want your pity employment. It's not pity, Nathan insisted. You're qualified, and I need someone I can trust who'll tell me the truth to my face. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. I was always good at that. Later, while the boys investigated their new tablets for school, Nathan had emphasized, Eliza finally shared the full story of her accident. The safety guard was broken. Management knew, but production quotas were behind. Her voice remained clinical, detached. My sleeve got caught. I remember screaming, then nothing until the hospital. She swallowed hard. The boys were 7. They had to grow up overnight. And rehabilitation? Basic therapy until insurance ran out. The prosthetics were too expensive. She looked at her empty sleeve. I adapted. Nathan fought the urge to touch her shoulder, sensing she'd recoil from sympathy. What happened to your relationship with Caroline? Eliza asked suddenly, changing the subject. Nathan sighed. Lasted 3 years. She wanted my success, but not the work behind it. Her father pulled his investment when we divorced. Eliza studied him. Yet you still succeeded. The company did. I'm not sure about the man. He glanced toward the boys' room. What are they like? Their personalities? For the first time, Eliza's expression softened genuinely. Jackson's the protector. First to walk, first to fight if anyone teases his brothers. William's brilliant but quiet, lives in his head. And Thomas is sunshine. Never stops talking, makes friends everywhere. They're amazing, Nathan said quietly. You did that, Eliza. You raised incredible boys under impossible circumstances. Something unreadable flickered in her eyes. Not forgiveness, but perhaps the first crack in her armor. Don't hurt them, Nathan, she whispered. They've had enough. Disappointment. If you're going to be in their lives, be consistent or be gone. The first week in the new apartment was a delicate dance of boundaries and adjustments. Nathan had movers deliver essentials, beds, dressers, kitchen supplies, while Eliza watched with guarded eyes, repeatedly telling the boys not to get too comfortable. They need clothes, Nathan observed on his 3rd visit, noticing the boys still rotating through the same worn outfits. I'll take them shopping when my disability check comes, Eliza replied stiffly. I'd like to take them now, Nathan countered. School starts Monday. That had been another negotiation. Nathan had arranged enrollment at Westfield Academy, a private school with an exceptional support program for students needing to catch up. Eliza had initially refused, but relented when the principal confirmed they could provide the boys the remedial help they needed. Fine, she conceded about the shopping, but nothing extravagant. At the department store, Nathan watched his son's reactions. Jackson, suspicious but practical, selected sturdy basics. William immediately gravitated toward the science-themed shirts. Thomas, the most outgoing, chose bright colors and patterns. That made Nathan smile. While the boys tried on clothes, Nathan approached Eliza hesitantly. They mentioned you lost your job at the diner last month. Her face tightened. I couldn't carry trays fast enough. The manager was patient, but business was slow. What did you study in college? Nathan asked. Before we met? Business administration, she replied. Not that it matters now. It could, he suggested carefully. My foundation needs administrative help. Eliza's eyes flashed. I don't want your pity employment. It's not pity, Nathan insisted. You're qualified, and I need someone I can trust who'll tell me the truth to my face. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. I was always good at that. Later, while the boys investigated their new tablets for school, Nathan had emphasized, Eliza finally shared the full story of her accident. The safety guard was broken. Management knew, but production quotas were behind. Her voice remained clinical, detached. My sleeve got caught. I remember screaming, then nothing until the hospital. She swallowed hard. The boys were 7. They had to grow up overnight. And rehabilitation? Basic therapy until insurance ran out. The prosthetics were too expensive. She looked at her empty sleeve. I adapted. Nathan fought the urge to touch her shoulder, sensing she'd recoil from sympathy. What happened to your relationship with Caroline? Eliza asked suddenly, changing the subject. Nathan sighed. Lasted 3 years. She wanted my success, but not the work behind it. Her father pulled his investment when we divorced. Eliza studied him. Yet you still succeeded. The company did. I'm not sure about the man. He glanced toward the boys' room. What are they like? Their personalities? For the first time, Eliza's expression softened genuinely. Jackson's the protector. First to walk, first to fight if anyone teases his brothers. William's brilliant but quiet, lives in his head. And Thomas is sunshine. Never stops talking, makes friends everywhere. They're amazing, Nathan said quietly. You did that, Eliza. You raised incredible boys under impossible circumstances. Something unreadable flickered in her eyes. Not forgiveness, but perhaps the first crack in her armor. Don't hurt them, Nathan, she whispered. They've had enough. Disappointment. If you're going to be in their lives, be consistent or be gone. 2 weeks into their new arrangement, Nathan sat at the kitchen table helping the triplets with math homework. Though enrolled in the same grade, the boys displayed vastly different learning styles. Jackson rushed through problems, Thomas doodled in margins, and William meticulously showed each step. That's not how Mom taught us fractions, Thomas protested, when Nathan demonstrated a technique. Show me your way, Nathan encouraged. Thomas demonstrated a creative method Eliza had developed using everyday objects when textbooks were unavailable. Nathan was impressed. Your mom's pretty brilliant, he admitted. From the doorway, Eliza observed silently. She'd started part-time at Nathan's foundation 3 days ago, reluctantly accepting the role. Though still wary, she couldn't deny the stability helped the boys. They hadn't been this relaxed in years. Dinner's ready, she announced. Homework gets cleared off the table. During the simple meal, Thomas excitedly described his science teacher's demonstration. He made a volcano explode. Can we try that at home, Mom? Dad has a big backyard. Everyone froze at Thomas's casual use of Dad. It was the first time any of the boys had called Nathan that. Thomas blushed, looking uncertain. Sorry, I didn't mean. It's okay, Nathan said quickly, voice rough with emotion. I'd love to host a volcano experiment. Later, after the boys went to bed, Nathan lingered. These evening conversations had become a tentative routine. Careful, measured exchanges between two people navigating an impossible situation. Thomas called me Dad, he said quietly. Eliza nodded. He's always been the most open-hearted. Don't read too much into it. And you? What should I read into your acceptance of the foundation job? Practicality, she replied. The boys need stability. Nathan studied her, still beautiful despite the hardship etched into her features. He remembered their early days when they'd been college sweethearts with ambitious dreams. His technology startup, her plans for nonprofit management. Do you ever think about before? He asked. When we first met? A shadow crossed her face. I try not to. I was different then. We both were. Young, idealistic. She absently rubbed her left shoulder, a habit Nathan noticed when she was stressed. Your investors changed you. Suddenly my community-focused ideas were quaint compared to market domination. I got caught up in it, Nathan admitted. Success became the only metric that mattered, and Caroline was properly connected, Eliza added without inflection. Perfect for your new image. Nathan winced at the truth. I made catastrophic mistakes, Eliza. Not just leaving you, though that tops the list, but forgetting why I wanted success in the first place. He hesitated. The foundation was an attempt to recapture that original purpose. For the first time, genuine curiosity showed in Eliza's eyes. What does it actually do? Provides technology access and education to underserved communities. We've built computer labs in 50 schools across the country. Something softened in her expression. That sounds like the Nathan I used to know. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acknowledgement. The first recognition that beneath the wealthy CEO might still exist the idealistic young man she'd once loved. Will you tell me about them? Nathan asked. The milestones I missed. First steps, words. Eliza hesitated, then reached for her phone. I don't have many photos. Phones were luxuries, but I kept a journal sometimes. As she shared glimpses of his son's early years, Nathan realized he was being offered something precious, a chance to witness, even secondhand, the childhood he'd missed. The inevitable media storm hit 3 weeks after Nathan found his family. Apex Technologies was hosting its annual tech showcase, and Nathan had made a last-minute decision to bring the triplets. The press will be there, Eliza had warned. They're my sons. I'm not hiding them, Nathan replied firmly. Now, as camera flashes exploded around them in the convention center lobby, he questioned his judgment. Jackson stood protectively near his mother. William observed everything with calculated interest, and Thomas waved enthusiastically at the reporters. Mr. Blackwood, are these your children? How long have you known about them? Ms. Thompson, why did you keep them secret? Nathan steered them through the crowd, his security team creating a buffer. Inside the VIP lounge, he found his PR director, Patricia, waiting, her expression grim. Social media's exploding, she reported. You could have warned me. I don't owe explanations for my family, Nathan responded coolly. The boys were immediately captivated by the technology demonstrations. William disappeared into deep conversation with the engineering team about quantum processing. Thomas charmed everyone he met, collecting business cards and free gadgets. Even Jackson relaxed, testing a virtual reality headset. Eliza stood apart, clearly uncomfortable in her simple dress among designer outfits. When the company's chief financial officer approached her with barely concealed suspicion, Nathan intervened. Victor, meet Eliza Thompson, the foundation's newest administrator and my former wife. Current co-parent, Eliza corrected quietly as the evening progressed. Nathan noticed board members huddled in corners, casting concerned glances his way. He wasn't surprised when board chairman Hamilton requested a private word. Quite the bombshell, Nathan, Hamilton said, swirling his scotch. Triplets. Hidden for over a decade, reappearing just before our IPO announcement. They weren't hidden, Richard. I didn't know they existed. Hamilton's eyebrow arched skeptically. Shareholders despise surprises. Stability and predictability drive stock prices. My personal life isn't relevant to company performance, Nathan countered. Everything about a CEO affects share value. Hamilton leaned closer. The board suggests keeping your situation low profile until after the IPO. Nathan felt a familiar anger rising, the same ruthless instinct that had once driven him to sacrifice his marriage for success. Before he could respond, William appeared at his elbow. Dad? Thomas is getting overwhelmed by the noise. Jackson's getting protective. Potential. Situation developing. Nathan excused himself immediately, leaving Hamilton mid-sentence. He found Thomas near tears, covering his ears while Jackson squared off against a pushy photographer. Enough, Nathan announced, placing himself between his sons and the camera. Event's over for us. In the car heading home, silence reigned until Thomas asked innocently, Are we in trouble? That man seemed mad at you. What man? Eliza questioned. The old one talking to Dad, William supplied. He said we were a problem for something called an IPO. Nathan saw Eliza's expression darken. She remembered his priorities all too well. You're never a problem, Nathan assured the boys firmly. You're my sons and nothing. No business deal, no amount of money matters more than that. The words surprised even him with their conviction. Glancing at Eliza, he caught something unexpected in her gaze. The first flicker of respect since their reunion. The inevitable media storm hit 3 weeks after Nathan found his family. Apex Technologies was hosting its annual tech showcase, and Nathan had made a last-minute decision to bring the triplets. The press will be there, Eliza had warned. They're my sons. I'm not hiding them, Nathan replied firmly. Now, as camera flashes exploded around them in the convention center lobby, he questioned his judgment. Jackson stood protectively near his mother. William observed everything with calculated interest, and Thomas waved enthusiastically at the reporters. Mr. Blackwood, are these your children? How long have you known about them? Miss Thompson, why did you keep them secret? Nathan steered them through the crowd, his security team creating a buffer. Inside the VIP lounge, he found his PR director, Patricia, waiting, her expression grim. Social media's exploding, she reported. You could have warned me. I don't owe explanations for my family, Nathan responded coolly. The boys were immediately captivated by the technology demonstrations. William disappeared into deep conversation with the engineering team about quantum processing. Thomas charmed everyone he met, collecting business cards and free gadgets. Even Jackson relaxed, testing a virtual reality headset. Eliza stood apart, clearly uncomfortable in her simple dress among designer outfits. When the company's chief financial officer approached her with barely concealed suspicion, Nathan intervened. Victor, meet Eliza Thompson, the foundation's newest administrator and my former wife. Current co-parent, Eliza corrected quietly as the evening progressed. Nathan noticed board members huddled in corners casting concerned glances his way. He wasn't surprised when board chairman Hamilton requested a private word. Quite the bombshell, Nathan, Hamilton said, swirling his scotch. Triplets. Hidden for over a decade, reappearing just before our IPO announcement. They weren't hidden, Richard. I didn't know they existed. Hamilton's eyebrow arched skeptically. Shareholders despise surprises. Stability and predictability drive stock prices. My personal life isn't relevant to company performance, Nathan countered. Everything about a CEO affects share value. Hamilton leaned closer. The board suggests keeping your situation low profile until after the IPO. Nathan felt a familiar anger rising, the same ruthless instinct that had once driven him to sacrifice his marriage for success. Before he could respond, William appeared at his elbow. Dad? Thomas is getting overwhelmed by the noise. Jackson's getting protective. Potential. Situation developing. Nathan excused himself immediately, leaving Hamilton mid-sentence. He found Thomas near tears, covering his ears while Jackson squared off against a pushy photographer. Enough, Nathan announced, placing himself between his sons and the camera. Event's over for us. In the car heading home, silence reigned until Thomas asked innocently, Are we in trouble? That man seemed mad at you. What man? Eliza questioned. The old one talking to Dad, William supplied. He said we were a problem for something called an IPO. Nathan saw Eliza's expression darken. She remembered his priorities all too well. You're never a problem, Nathan assured the boys firmly. You're my sons and nothing. No business deal, no amount of money matters more than that. The words surprised even him with their conviction. Glancing at Eliza, he caught something unexpected in her gaze, the first flicker of respect since their reunion. The morning after the tech showcase, Nathan's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Every news outlet wanted a statement about his secret family. The Apex Technologies PR team proposed various narratives, but Nathan rejected them all. I'm not spinning this, he told Patricia firmly. Draft a simple statement. I recently discovered I'm father to triplet sons. I'm committed to being part of their lives. Request privacy as our family adjusts. At the apartment, Nathan found Eliza watching morning news with a stricken expression. The top story featured photos of them at the event with speculation about whether she'd hidden the boys to eventually seek financial gain. I'm so sorry, Nathan said, shutting off the TV. This is exactly what you feared. They found our old address, Eliza replied quietly. Reporters are interviewing former neighbors. Someone from the shelter sold a story about the homeless triplets. With the crippled mother, Nathan's jaw tightened with anger. We'll set the record straight. That's not how media works, Nathan. The damage is done. He sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. I can move you to a secured building with private access. Running won't help. The boys have school. I have work. Determination hardened her features. We'll weather this. The door buzzed. Nathan checked the security camera to see Hamilton and 2 board members waiting. He sighed heavily. Company business. I'll handle this outside. In the hallway, Hamilton wasted no time. Emergency board meeting this morning. The IPO underwriters are nervous. Because I have children, Nathan challenged. Because you have a significant life circumstance you apparently knew nothing about. Hamilton corrected. It raises questions about your judgment. Careful, Richard, Nathan warned. You need to distance yourself from this situation until the offering goes through, another board member added. Temporarily. The familiar business calculation activated in Nathan's mind, the instinct to prioritize company value above personal matters. For decades, that calculation had guided every decision. Let me be absolutely clear, Nathan said slowly. I will attend your meeting. I will reassure investors, but I will not, under any circumstances, distance myself from my family. As the elevator doors closed behind the stunned board members, Nathan realized he'd made his choice without hesitation. The company had been his entire identity for so long. Now it felt like just a job. Inside, he found the boys getting ready for school, seemingly oblivious to the chaos. William glanced up from tying his shoes. The derivative probability function you showed me yesterday worked, he said. I finished that math module early. He's 3 grades ahead in math now, Eliza explained with quiet pride. Jackson emerged from the bathroom, hair still damp. Mom, says there's reporters. Do we need to move again? The weariness in his voice, a child too accustomed to instability, broke Nathan's heart. No, Nathan assured him firmly. This is your home for as long as you want it. But your job, Eliza started. We'll survive, Nathan finished. Or it won't. Either way, I'm not repeating past mistakes. Thomas bounded in, backpack already on. Dad, can you drive us to school, please, in the cool car? The Bentley attracts attention, Eliza cautioned. Nathan considered the board meeting, the IPO, his career built over decades, then looked at his sons' faces. Morris can take a different route to avoid photographers, he decided. Let's go. As they left, Eliza whispered, Nathan, don't sacrifice everything you've built. The boys will understand. If you need to focus on work. They shouldn't have to understand, he replied, not again. For the first time since their reunion, he gently squeezed her shoulder. More surprising was that she didn't pull away. The emergency board meeting was as contentious as Nathan expected. He sat at the head of the polished conference table watching, 10 faces ranging from concerned to hostile. The optics are problematic, said Vanessa Chen, head of investor relations. Business media is questioning your judgment. Social media is divided between those calling you a heartless abandoner and those claiming you're being manipulated. What matters is how this affects the IPO, Hamilton interjected. Potential investors don't like uncertainty. Nathan studied their faces. People he'd worked alongside for years, who knew only the ruthlessly focused version of himself. I've prepared a statement, he said calmly. I recently discovered I'm father to triplet sons. I'm committed to my family and to this company. Both can thrive simultaneously. That's insufficient, argued Victor, the CFO. We need to assure shareholders your personal situation won't impact leadership. A notification lit up Nathan's phone, a text from Eliza. Thomas sent to principal's office. Fight with classmate who called me a gold digger. Can you call the school? Without hesitation, Nathan stood. This meeting is postponed. Family emergency. Nathan, Hamilton sputtered. The underwriters are waiting. Then they'll continue waiting, Nathan replied, collecting his coat. My son needs me. At Westfield Academy, Nathan found Thomas with a split lip, slumped in a chair outside the principal's office. The boy's eyes widened with surprise when he saw his father. You came, Thomas said, voice small. Of course I came, Nathan replied, sitting beside him. I didn't mean to fight, Thomas whispered. But Ethan said Mom was only after your money, that she trapped you. Nathan felt a surge of protective anger. That's completely untrue. I know, Thomas sniffled. Mom could have told you any time if she wanted money. She didn't even cash your first child support check. Said we'd manage this. We could wait until it wasn't so complicated. Nathan froze. What check? Thomas looked confused. The one that came last week. Mom put it in her drawer. The principal emerged, expecting to see Eliza. Finding Nathan Blackwood instead rendered him momentarily speechless. Mr. Blackwood, I didn't realize you'd be coming. My son was defending his mother's honor, Nathan stated firmly. While I don't condone violence, I understand his reaction. Later, driving Thomas home, Nathan asked casually, So Mom didn't want to cash my check? Thomas shrugged. She said we should wait until we know if you're staying for real. At the apartment, Nathan found Eliza reorganizing the kitchen one-handed, a methodical process she'd perfected over years. How's Thomas? She asked immediately. 1-day suspension, which I'm treating as a father-son day tomorrow, Nathan answered, then added, You didn't tell me you received the support payment. Eliza froze, then sighed. Thomas mentioned it. Why didn't you cash it? She turned to face him directly. Because this isn't about money, Nathan, it never was. The moment I cash that check, people will say I planned this, that I kept the boys hidden to eventually cash in. People will talk regardless, Nathan reasoned. It's not just that, she admitted. Once I accept financial help, there's no going back. What happens when you move on to the next shiny opportunity? The boys will be used to a lifestyle I can't provide alone. The distrust in her voice stung, but Nathan recognized its source, the ambitious young man who'd abandoned her without a backward glance. I'm not that person anymore, he said quietly. Eliza studied him, weighing truth against experience. Maybe not, she conceded. But forgive me if I need more than a month to believe that. The IPO announcement went ahead despite the board's concerns. To everyone's surprise, especially Hamilton's, Apex Technologies' valuation exceeded projections. Analysts attributed this to Nathan's newfound humanizing story, resonating with the public. Perhaps family values sell better than we thought, Hamilton reluctantly admitted at the post-IPO celebration. Nathan barely registered the comment, distracted by his phone. William had sent a photo of his science project, a working model of sustainable energy distribution that had won first prize. Nathan had helped with the circuitry last weekend, one of the most rewarding experiences of his life. You seem distracted for someone who just added several billion to his net worth, remarked Patricia. I promised to be home for dinner, Nathan replied, checking his watch. The boys are cooking. Patricia studied him with newfound respect. You've changed, Nathan. For the better, I hope. At the apartment, Nathan found chaos. Smoke billowed from the kitchen where Thomas enthusiastically stirred something unidentifiable. Jackson argued with William about proper pasta cooking times. Eliza supervised one-handed, laughing despite the disaster unfolding. Our gourmet chefs insist they don't need help, she explained when Nathan entered. We wanted to surprise you, Thomas said. To celebrate your big work thing. And we're celebrating William's Science Award, Jackson added. Nathan removed his tie and rolled up his sleeves. What can I do? The meal was barely edible, pasta overcooked, sauce burned. But Nathan couldn't remember enjoying dinner more. Listening to the boys describe their day, occasionally catching Eliza's eye across the table, he felt a contentment he'd never known during his years of solitary success. Later, after the boys went to bed, Nathan helped Eliza clean up. "The foundation," director called. She mentioned casually. "The adaptive technology program is getting good responses." In the month since joining the foundation, Eliza had revolutionized its approach to disability services, focusing on practical solutions rather than charity. Her first-hand experience proved invaluable. "Your ideas are making a real difference," Nathan acknowledged. She looked pleased but quickly changed the subject. "How was the big IPO announcement?" "Successful." The board's thrilled. "And you?" she probed, studying his face. Nathan considered the question. "I used to measure my life by business achievements. Today I was more excited about William's science project than adding billions to company valuation." "That scares you," she observed. "Terrifies me," he admitted with a rueful smile. But in a good way. They worked in companionable silence until Nathan asked, "Do you ever think about moving?" Eliza froze. "Are you asking us to leave?" "The opposite," he clarified quickly. "This apartment's getting crowded. My house has 7 bedrooms, a lab William would love, space for Thomas's energy, and security Jackson would appreciate." "Your house," Eliza repeated slowly. "It could be a home," Nathan said quietly. "For all of you." Eliza set down the dish she was drying. "Nathan, we're co-parenting. That's different from living together," he finished. "I know. I'm not suggesting—" He paused, reorganizing his thoughts. "Separate wings, your independence, just practical space considerations. And proximity to your work," she guessed. "That's the least important factor," he insisted. "I've been considering stepping back. A chairman role rather than CEO." Eliza looked genuinely shocked. "Your company is your identity." "It was," he corrected gently. "I've discovered better priorities." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the years between them seemed to collapse. Not romantically, but with recognition. Two people who once knew each other well, rediscovering common ground. "We'll think about it," Eliza finally said. It wasn't yes, but it wasn't no. For Nathan, it felt like victory. Spring arrived in Chicago, and with it came transformation. The Blackwood estate in Lake Forest gradually shifted from a sterile showcase to a home with signs of life. Thomas's sneakers by the door, William's astronomy charts on the study wall, and Jackson's soccer gear in the mudroom. 3 months after Nathan's invitation, they'd finally moved in. Eliza had insisted on careful transitions, weekend stays at first, then gradually longer periods until the boys felt comfortable. She maintained her separate apartment downtown, but spent most nights in the East Wing guest suite to be near her sons. On this particular Saturday morning, Nathan stood by the kitchen window, watching William and Thomas chase each other across the lawn while Jackson practiced penalty kicks against the garden wall. "You'll need to replant those roses," Eliza commented, joining him with a mug of coffee held in her one hand. "Small price to pay?" Nathan replied, smiling. "They've never had this much space." "It still feels unreal sometimes," she admitted. "Last year we were sharing a studio apartment." The doorbell interrupted their conversation. Nathan wasn't expecting visitors, and Saturdays were reserved strictly for family time. A boundary he'd established after realizing how many childhood moments he'd already missed. Morris, who now served as both driver and security, appeared at the kitchen door. "Mr. Blackwood, there's a Ms. Bennett at the gate, rather insistent." Nathan tensed. "Caroline?" Eliza's expression immediately shuddered. "I'll check on the boys," she said, retreating toward the yard. "Wait," Nathan called. "This concerns you too. Let her in, Morris, but stay close." Caroline Bennett swept into the kitchen moments later, impeccably styled in designer clothes, her blonde hair perfectly arranged. Her gaze flickered between Nathan and Eliza with barely disguised disdain. "So the rumors are true," she drawled, "playing happy families with your little secret." Caroline, Nathan acknowledged coolly. Why are you here? Professional courtesy, she replied. Daddy's investment group is considering Apex Technologies' competitor for acquisition. Thought you should know. Nathan recognized the thinly veiled threat. Caroline's father still wielded significant influence in tech investment circles. That's business, he replied calmly. This is my home. My family time. Caroline's gaze fixed on Eliza. And you must be the long-lost first wife. Quite the comeback story. From homeless to the estate in 3 months flat. Before Nathan could intervene, Eliza stepped forward. I'm not interested in your opinion of me, Ms. Bennett. But I will ask you to leave before my sons come inside. They deserve peaceful weekends. Sons, Caroline repeated mockingly. Convenient timing, finding Nathan just as Apex goes public. That's enough, Nathan said sharply. Morris will show you out. As Caroline left, she called over her shoulder. The board should know your priorities have shifted dramatically. I wonder how shareholders will feel. When the door closed, Eliza's composure cracked. She's right about one thing, your priorities have changed. The Nathan I knew would have been on the phone immediately, damage control with her father. That Nathan didn't have anything worth protecting, he replied quietly. Through the window they could see the triplets still playing, oblivious to the visitor. William had convinced his brothers to help with some experiment involving the garden hose and a homemade weather station. I don't want them caught in corporate politics, Eliza said. Neither do I. Nathan hesitated. Which is why I've been considering that chairman role more seriously. Eliza studied him with genuine curiosity. You'd really step back? After everything you've built? I've missed 11 years, he said simply. I don't want to miss anymore. The moment hung between them. Not quite reconciliation, but understanding. The first signs of trouble appeared in the business press. Blackwood losing focus? Questioned one headline. Apex CEO prioritizes family over IPO follow-through, claimed another. Caroline's warning had materialized. Subtle but persistent questions about Nathan's commitment following the company's public offering. Nathan tried to shield Eliza and the boys from these concerns, but the triplets were surprisingly adept at finding information. One evening, William appeared in Nathan's home office with a tablet. The stock dropped 8% today, he stated matter-of-factly. After you missed the London investor call for Thomas's school play. Nathan set aside his laptop. You're monitoring Apex stock? William shrugged. I set up alerts. Are you in trouble because of us? No, Nathan said firmly. Business fluctuates, that's normal. Mom's worried, William continued. She thinks we're disrupting your life. Nathan sighed. William, the most perceptive of the triplets, never missed emotional undercurrents. Come here. Nathan patted the seat beside him. Before I found you and your brothers, my life was just work. Successful but empty. Now I have something that matters more. William considered this with his characteristic analytical expression. Statistically, most custody arrangements don't include living together unless the parents are reconciling. Nathan nearly choked. Your mother and I are just co-parenting, William finished. That's what she says too. But variables have changed. You look at her differently now. Before Nathan could formulate a response to this surprisingly astute observation, his phone rang. Hamilton's name flashed on the screen. I need to take this, Nathan apologized. William nodded, slipping out silently. Even at 11, he understood business emergencies. Richard, Nathan answered. It's after hours. The Bennett Group has made a hostile move, Hamilton replied without preamble. They've acquired 15% of outstanding shares through shell companies. They're partnering with Vision Tech for a takeover attempt. Nathan felt a familiar surge of competitive anger. Caroline was just a messenger. Emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. You need to demonstrate full commitment, Nathan. Shareholders are nervous about your divided attention. After hanging up, Nathan found Eliza in the kitchen, preparing lunches for tomorrow. The domesticity of the scene, her efficient movements despite having only one arm, The colorful notes she tucked into each lunch bag struck him powerfully. "Business. Crisis?" she asked, noting his expression. "Caroline's father is making a play for Apex," he admitted, "using my family commitment against me." Eliza set down the knife she was using to cut sandwiches. "This is exactly what I feared. They're punishing you for choosing the boys." "It's just business tactics," Nathan tried to reassure her. "Is it?" She looked skeptical. "You've missed 3 major meetings in 2 weeks for school events." "And I'd do it again," Nathan said firmly. Eliza studied him thoughtfully. "You would, wouldn't you?" For the first time, she truly believed it. "The board meeting tomorrow is crucial," Nathan explained. "I may need to travel afterward, show my face to key investors, calm nerves." "We understand," Eliza assured him. "The boys are resilient. Will you be here when I get back?" The question carried weight beyond its simple words. Eliza hesitated. "Nathan, we've been careful not to confuse the boys about our relationship." "I'm not talking about our relationship," he clarified. "I'm asking if this situation, the press, the business pressure, will drive you away." Her answer was interrupted by Thomas bounding into the kitchen, pajama-clad and excited about a school project. The moment passed, but Nathan carried her, uncertain expression with him like a weight. Nathan returned from his investor tour exhausted but successful. He'd spent 2 weeks crisscrossing the country, reassuring major shareholders that Apex Technologies remained his priority despite family commitments. The Bennett Group's takeover attempt had stalled, for now. The house was quiet when he arrived home late Friday evening. A note from Eliza explained that the boys were at a school overnight trip, their first since moving in with Nathan. He felt a pang of disappointment. He'd missed them more than he expected. Unable to sleep, Nathan wandered through the suddenly empty-feeling mansion. In the kitchen, magnets held the boys' schoolwork to the refrigerator, Thomas's creative writing piece, William's perfect math test, Jackson's improved English essay. Evidence of lives advancing even in his absence. Nathan paused at Eliza's door in the east wing, noticing light beneath it. He knocked softly. "Come in," she called. He found her sitting in an armchair, reading, glasses perched on her nose, reviewing. "Foundation documents, you're back," she said, removing her glasses. "How was the trip?" "Productive. The Bennett threat is neutralized temporarily." He gestured to the papers. "Working late?" "The prosthetics program needs restructuring," she explained. "The current application process is too complicated for people already overwhelmed by medical bureaucracy." Nathan smiled inwardly. This was exactly why she was perfect for the foundation. Empathy combined with practical solutions. "I've been thinking," he said carefully, "about what William asked before I left." Eliza looked confused. "What did he ask?" "He pointed out that our living arrangement is statistically unusual for people who aren't reconciling." Her cheeks colored slightly. "He's too observant for his own good." "But not inaccurate," Nathan ventured. "Nathan," Eliza sighed, "we've been focused on the boys." "Of course," he agreed. "But these weeks away, I realized I missed all of you. Not just as the mother of my children, but as you, Eliza." She set aside her papers, her expression unreadable. "We're not the same people we were 12 years ago." "Thank God for that," Nathan replied sincerely. "I was self-absorbed and ambitious to the point of cruelty. You were idealistic, but naive about business realities." "And now?" she prompted. "Now, I've learned what matters, and you've become remarkably resilient." He paused. "We've both grown, just separately." Eliza stood, moving to the window. "When you left me for Caroline, I thought I'd never recover. Then I had the boys and they became everything. After the accident, I didn't have space for anything except survival." She turned to face him. "The idea of trusting you again, it's terrifying." "I understand," Nathan said quietly. "Do you?" Her voice strengthened. Because the Nathan I knew would have sacrificed anything for success. How do I know the next business crisis won't revert you to that person? It was the question. He'd been wrestling with himself. I can't prove it with words, he admitted. Only time will show you I've changed. But I know that losing you and the boys again would destroy me more thoroughly than any business failure. Eliza studied him, weighing the sincerity in his eyes, against her years of hard-earned caution. I'm not asking for an immediate answer, Nathan continued. Just openness to possibilities. We've created a functioning family these past months. Maybe we can build on that foundation. A small smile touched her lips. You and your foundations. Solid ones last, he replied simply. The moment hung between them, tentative but hopeful, until interrupted by Nathan's phone. Text messages from each boy about their overnight adventure flooded in simultaneously. They've reached a signal area, Eliza explained, her expression softening. As Nathan scrolled through the messages, Thomas's excitement, William's detailed observations, Jackson's brief but caring check-in, he felt Eliza watching him. We have amazing sons, he said. Yes, she agreed softly. We do. Summer transformed the Blackwood estate. The previously immaculate but sterile gardens now featured a makeshift soccer field for Jackson, a weather monitoring station for Williams, experiments and colorful wind chimes Thomas had crafted in art class. The formal dining room had been repurposed as a project space, currently housing a half-built robot the triplets were constructing under Nathan's guidance. 6 months since their chance encounter, the family had found its rhythm. After the attempted takeover, Nathan had made his decision official, transitioning to executive chairman while promoting his longtime COO to CEO. The board had reluctantly accepted after seeing his detailed succession plan. You're certain about this? Eliza had asked when he announced his decision. Completely, Nathan confirmed. 3 days a week at the office, the rest dedicated to family and foundation work. Now, on a warm July evening, Nathan stood on the terrace, watching the sunset. The boys were having their first overnight with school friends, a normal childhood experience that would have been impossible during their unstable years. It's strangely quiet, Eliza observed, joining him with 2 glasses of iced tea. Too quiet, Nathan agreed, accepting a glass. I keep expecting Thomas to appear with some wild new idea. Eliza smiled. Remember last week when he decided to create a water slide from the 2nd floor? I've never moved so fast in my life. Nathan laughed. These moments had become precious, casual conversations without the guardedness that had characterized their early reunion. Eliza had gradually relaxed her defenses, allowing Nathan to glimpse the woman who had survived unimaginable challenges. I visited the Foundation's first adaptive technology center today, Eliza mentioned. The prosthetics program has 12 participants already. Nathan nodded. I saw the report. Your personal experience made all the difference in designing it. I've been thinking, Eliza said hesitantly, about trying a prosthetic myself. Nathan tried to mask his surprise. She had always firmly rejected the idea before, saying she'd adapted to life with 1 arm. What changed your mind? The boys, she admitted. They deserve a mother who isn't limited if she doesn't have to be. She paused. And maybe I deserve it too. Nathan felt a surge of admiration. You're the strongest person I know, with or without 2 arms, she smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. These months, they've changed things. Changed me. Me too, Nathan acknowledged. More than 30 years pursuing success, never realizing what I really wanted. Their eyes met, a moment of complete understanding passing between them. Without overthinking, Nathan gently took her hand. Eliza, I'm not asking for forgiveness for the past, that would be too much. But I'm asking for a chance at a future, together, not just as co-parents. She didn't pull away, but her expression grew serious. Nathan, if we tried again, I couldn't survive being abandoned a second time. I'm not that man anymore, he promised. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving it if you'll let me. Her fingers tightened around his. "We should take it slowly, for the boys' sake." "And ours," Nathan agreed. As the sun disappeared behind the trees, casting long shadows across the lawn where their sons normally played, Nathan and Eliza remained, side by side, not yet fully reconciled but no longer separated by a chasm of pain and mistrust. "One day at a time," Eliza whispered, resting her head tentatively against his shoulder. For a man who had once demanded immediate results in everything, Nathan found he was perfectly content with this gradual path forward. After all, some foundations needed to be rebuilt with careful precision. 1 year to the day since Nathan's Bentley stopped at that fateful red light, the Blackwood estate buzzed with activity. The foundation's first adaptive technology center was officially opening, and the family had gathered in the garden for a private moment before the public ceremony. Nathan adjusted his tie, trying to calm his nerves. He'd given countless presentations to investors, but today felt more significant than any IPO. "Stop fidgeting," Eliza chided gently, approaching in an elegant blue dress that complemented her new prosthetic arm. After months of therapy, she wore it with growing confidence, though she still preferred her natural one-armed state at home. "Is it that obvious?" Nathan asked. "Only to someone who knows you," she replied, straightening his already perfect tie. The past year had transformed them all. Nathan had found fulfillment beyond corporate success, dividing his time between family, philanthropy, and strategic guidance at Apex. Eliza had blossomed as the foundation's director, her unique perspective revolutionizing their approach to disability services. Most remarkable was the triplets' evolution. Jackson had channeled his protective instincts into school leadership, organizing support for struggling classmates. William's brilliant mind flourished with proper educational resources, earning him advanced placement in multiple subjects. And Thomas's creativity found expression through art and music, his infectious enthusiasm brightening everyone's lives. "They're ready for you," Morris announced, approaching with his usual dignity despite the world's best unofficial grandpa t-shirt the boys had given him for his birthday. Nathan took Eliza's hand, a gesture that had become natural over months of careful reconciliation. "Shall we?" At the center's entrance, a modest crowd had gathered, foundation staff, program participants, media, and board members. The triplets waited at the podium, identical in navy suits, but unmistakably individual in their postures. Jackson standing, tall and confident, William slightly hunched in thought, Thomas bouncing with barely contained excitement. When Nathan and Eliza approached, Thomas grabbed the microphone. "Our parents are here. Now we can start." Laughter rippled through the audience. Nathan felt his chest tighten at that simple phrase. "Our parents," spoken without hesitation or qualification. The ceremony proceeded with speeches about technological access and equal opportunity, but Nathan found himself focusing on the journey rather than the achievement. 1 year ago, he'd been a successful but hollow man who had abandoned his pregnant wife for ambition. Now he stood beside that same woman, co-parenting their sons, building something meaningful together. After cutting the ribbon, Nathan stepped to the microphone for closing remarks, but veered from his prepared text. "A year ago, I believed success was measured by market share and profit margins," he began. "Then fate gave me a second chance I didn't deserve." His eyes found Eliza's. "It took losing everything to realize what truly matters. This center isn't just about adaptive technology. It's about adapting ourselves to discover what's genuinely important." Later, as guests toured the facility, Nathan found himself momentarily alone with Eliza in the garden. "I never thanked you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For giving me the chance to know our sons, for allowing me to earn back your trust little by little." Eliza's eyes softened. "We've all healed this year, Nathan. The boys having their father, me finding purpose beyond survival." She hesitated. "And us finding our way back to each other." "Next week is Thomas's birthday," Nathan reminded her. "He's been dropping hints about wanting his parents officially together again." Eliza smiled. "Subtle hints, like asking when we're getting remarried? At breakfast. Every day." "And what do you think?" Nathan asked, heart racing despite his outward calm. Eliza took a breath. "I think life taught me the hard way that nothing is guaranteed, but I also think some journeys come full circle for a reason." Her hand found his. "I'm ready if you are." As their sons bounded toward them across the lawn, faces alight with joy and possibility, Nathan and Eliza exchanged a look of quiet understanding. The fortune Nathan had lost and found wasn't measured in billions, but in second chances, and the wisdom to recognize real wealth when it finally appeared before him at a red light on a Chicago street corner.